Doug, okay, here's Evan's video. Just a couple good things here. Well, not good things, but a couple things here that I want to show you that I found here that I think will shed some light on why his arm has been hurting him so badly. I really do think I found the cause of this. Hey, I will also contact Angel Borelli, the person who created that book and that program that I gave you. She's an expert in this, and I want to see if she agrees with my analysis of why his arm is hurting. So I think I'm just going to use this video to discuss why his arm is hurting, and if I can get, I don't want to make it too long, but I will get into maybe some of the mechanics if it's possible here. Sometimes these long videos don't load right, so it might be better just to do a couple. Well, anyhow, he said he's been having arm pain throughout most of his Little League career, and I'm pretty sure I found out why. So anyway, if you follow me here with this, I wanted to give you two angles so you can get a perspective from both ways, because I think it was the back angle that actually gave me the answer. I didn't even notice this from the front side. Why is this video skipping so much? This is getting crazy. Okay, well, let's just watch here how he, first of all, it looks like he's throwing a changeup, and I don't know if I asked him to do that, but he's got 3 fingers on the ball, which is interesting. But anyhow, as he breaks the hands, here's why the arm is hurting him. See, he at this point here, this is what we call a hand lifter. They lift from the hand, and what that means is that they go, they work from downstream up, where we want to go upstream down. We want to lift from the shoulder, and then the elbow lifts, and it will pull the arm behind the back into what's called horizontal abduction. I don't know if you remember what that inverted W is. It's not the inverted W. That's stressful on the arm, but the arm does have to come behind the body. The elbow does have to come behind the body to leverage against the hips so that you can get some separation and you can get what's called counter rotation or torque. If you don't get that, then you end up throwing with a lot of your arm, and it becomes very strainful and stressful. And what he's doing here, if you look at the bottom video too, watch how his arm lifts up. He just pulls up from the hand, but the arm doesn't get behind the back at all. It just kind of rides the behind the trunk. So if I drew a line, you would see that his arm is pretty much vertical and in line with the trunk. But what we really want to see here is the elbow out here and the hand down here when the front foot is near landing. But you see how his arm, I mean, let's take a look at the front video. You can see it easier. Look at where his arm is. His arm is already there, and he's still, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 1800ths of a second too early because his foot just lands there. So his arm is up in a position where first of all, it's up so early, but it's also, it never gets behind the back. So when that happens, when the arm doesn't pull behind the back, it just lifts and stays in line with the trunk. If you're an early trunk rotator like he is, take a look at how early he rotates the trunk. He rotates the trunk before he even gets his foot down. Watch his front shoulder pull out. His elbow starts to drop. We lose his front shoulder right there, and he doesn't even have all the weight down yet, and now he does. But at this point, the elbow is out in front of the body, and what's called adduction as the elbow comes back towards the body. And this is just a poor position to be in when your body is receiving forces. So, as a larger kid, he's receiving some forces because he's got a lot of weight falling down on this leg, coming up the ground, and his shoulders are open. So he's not using any of the muscle in here, his whole midsection, the trunk of his body. all the bigger muscles are not absorbing these forces because the shoulders are now already open. So he doesn't have any torque in the body to help him absorb some of that force. So what that does is it exposes the arm. And at this point here, when his leg lands, or at this point right here, boom, that elbow is in a really vulnerable position to take all those forces. When the front foot really gets down and lands, we want to see the arm just getting up into right here. The arm would just be getting up, so everything would be closed off, the foot would be down, and the hips would be completely opened, or at least 3/4 of the way opened. So he would have his muscles twisting this way and his muscles twisting the other way, creating power, creating a lot of potential for power, because there's a stretch going on. So he's not getting any of that stretch. So therefore, all of that strain is going right to the arm. Boom, right at that elbow, right there. And that's the second most stressful place of the delivery. And then, of course, as he gets out here, he gets out a little bit in front of his face, and that's also very stressful. So he needs to work on here getting the arm, instead of just lifting the hand behind the body in line with the body. We want the hand to stay in line with the body, but we want the elbows to pinch back to get a nice stretch so that it can pull away from the upper body a little bit as it turns towards home plate. And that pull, that counter movement will take all of those forces that are coming up and convert it nicely, and then rotate quickly later, which will put the arm into a better position, and it will roll back the arm earlier, and then it'll internally rotate earlier as well. So here's external rotation, and it happens late because his shoulders are open and he doesn't get the arm back. So his arm is already in throwing mode. He's already throwing the ball, and he hasn't even landed all the weight yet. So bingo, right there, at that point, that elbow's got to be taking a lot of torque, causing tightness and pain and all sorts of strain. Okay, and then with that early rotation, with that late external rotation, now he has to externally rotate late out in front of his face, and that's more tension on the elbow. So if he's definitely been throwing like this his whole life. There's probably no doubt about it. Ever since he was in Little League, he took the hand and just lifted it straight up behind his head, instead of pulling the elbows behind the head and letting the hand stay down here. And then as the body begins to rotate towards landing, then the hand can start to pop up, and the elbow would be in a much better position. Somewhere back here is where the elbow would start to take some of forces, but again, not all of it, just some of it, because the upper body would be torquing and turning against the arm in a position pulling back. All right, I hope that makes sense. So basically, let me just sum up real quick why his elbow is hurting. I don't know if I was clear, but his elbow is, his arm lifts straight up. His arm is up early, and his arm does not get behind the back. So he doesn't get any stretching from the larger part of his body. He starts to rotate now with his arm in a vertical position here where, it's okay if you're here, but you got to be landed first. So he starts to rotate the upper body. He starts to throw the ball before his front foot even hits the ground. Now he's got the forces pushing through his body. And here at this point, the elbow is going to take it because the chest is already opened. The chest is already open, so the arm is exposed. And that's where all that torque and that power is going to come right through to that spot in the elbow. And because now he's externally rotated just a little late, he's going to internally rotate late, putting more stress. All right, that is definitely his arm problem. In my opinion, I'm going to actually ask her to take a look at it to see what she thinks. All right, and then I'll give you the answers next week. All right, anyway, lay off it. Do some, get some ice on it. Rest it. We'll work again next week if you feel okay, and we'll take it from there.